We're back with our special guest, Alex Cosper, former music director, program director of the legendary alternative Quad 106, and also worked in the Bay Area for a while, along with a few other big markets. Anyway, Alex, you've been in San Diego now for a while, probably enough to have an idea of what's going on in the city as far as radio stations. Any stations that stick out, in your opinion, as being either really good or really bad, or?
Well, they all actually stick out as being really bad.
Wow.
I mean, I don't hear any good radio. What's that one, KPRI? They should just call themselves crappy radio.
Oh yeah, I've never thought about that, but I guess KPRI.
Yeah. Actually, they'd have to change
crappy.
the letters, and KRPI would be a more
that's
crappy
true.
type word. But anyway, they just, you know, they tighten their playlist. I know that that's happened while I was here, where they just completely got rid of a bunch of music, which is what corporate radio does. It keeps
Well, you know what? That's true, because I used to love KPRI even 2 years ago. Every time I would listen, I'd be blown away. Like, wow, they're playing this? How cool is that? And now I turn them on, and I agree with you, and it's like so predictable.
Yeah, but you know what? They're not as bad as another station that just changed. And
Yeah, what's that?
They used to be the Walrus. Now they're called Max.
Oh yeah, I heard about that. Weird.
Now that's the biggest joke station I've heard so far. Even though I like a lot of the music they play. I mean, come on, I grew up in the 80s and I like a lot of 80s, but how many 80s stations are there now?
Right, and especially when you play only the big, super classic, super gold songs, and that's all you play.
Yeah, like Rebel Yell 4 times a day, or
a logical song every single day.
Every time you turn it on, it's the same freaking oldies.
Right. Yeah, I swear, it seems like their playlist might be 150 songs.
If that. Yeah.
And it's really predictable and really boring.
When you think about it, Walrus is a better name than Max.
Yeah, at least it's unique and stands out. It's something to do with maybe Beatles.
It's got
I
some
Am the Walrus.
Beatle-esque flavor to it. Yeah, it's
right.
And I know they were playing 60s. They were mixing in 60s at that time, but now they got rid of all the 60s. Huh?
Yeah, they were primarily 60s with a little 70s for flavor. Then they became 70s with a little 60s for flavor. Now they're 80s with maybe 3% 70s for flavor.
Yeah.
And I agree with you. They're no good.
They're just a joke. And the station has no soul. It seems like it's just a machine, like a freaking automated jukebox with some generic voices thrown in.
Yeah. Well, almost every station, even in a nice city like San Diego, has become that way.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
Soulless.
Even morning shows, which at least are live for the most part, seem super predictable and soulless.
Yeah. And I know Max just lost their morning show that only lasted a week.
Yeah, I guess the guy couldn't stand the station or the format or the way it was being programmed or something.
Yeah, it's a crack up to see Max implode before it really gets off the ground. Max is such a dumb name for a radio station. I mean,
it's the ultimate corporate name, and that's all it is.
Yeah, it's Max. That reminds me of Maxwell Smart from the 60s, but they got rid of all the 60s.
Right. And Maxwell Smart was cool, kind of.
He was smart. Max, this radio station, doesn't sound smart. It sounds like it's programmed by some dummy. Didn't you just tell me earlier that they were skipping, a song was skipping on that station?
Well, it wasn't really skipping, but I was listening and I heard the same song play 4 or 5 times in a row, and it wasn't even a song that any radio station in America would play. It was like some kind of football, instrumental football,
marching
pep
band.
Rally chant, weird song that I couldn't even identify. And then after 5 times of that 2-minute song playing in a row, there was dead air for 4 or 5 minutes, and then they went into an 8-minute spot block right after that. So I guarantee
radio suicide.
Everybody listening during that 20-minute period will never listen to Max again.
Yeah.
Because it was too traumatic of an experience.
Well, you know, I didn't even hear that little blurb you just said. I didn't even listen at that time, and I don't think I'll ever listen to Max again.
Right.
The few times I have listened, it's just been the same old jive over and over again. Rebel Yell by Billy Idol.
Man-Eater by Hall & Oates.
Freaking Gloria by Laura Branigan.
Right, and nothing against any of those songs.
Nothing against Naked Eyes, always something there to remind
But when you play that 4 times a day, that's a problem. It's not 1983 anymore, guys.
The playlist gets shorter and shorter and shorter, and eventually the playlist is only going to be 5 songs.
True.
And then it's going to be 500 commercials in a row, and then 5 songs, then 500 commercials.
And then the same 5 songs.
Yeah.
Again.
It's going to be NXS, Need You Tonight, Prince, 1999, freaking Naked Eyes, Always Something There to Remind Me. What else? Cyndi Lauper, Girls Just Want to Have Fun.
Maybe Simple Minds, Don't You Forget About Me.
I love that record.
Well, I love it too.
I
but
could actually listen to that 1,000,000 times in a row and never be tired of it.
Yeah. But when they play in their
Gloria
mix,
by Laura Branigan, I can't even listen to that 5 times in a row before I'm like, what is going on here?
well, that's radio for you.
Yep, radio in the 2010s or whatever this warped decade is called. It's not that I'm hoping it'll go back to the 60s, 70s, 80s. That is not my freaking dream at all. My dream is for 2014 to be good.
Right, me too. But I tell you what, 60s, 70s, 80s would be 1,000 times better than what Max is doing right now.
Yeah, that's true.
So, nothing else to say except we have KPRI crappy radio, and we have maximum crap radio on Max FM.
Yeah,
so everything is crap.
X Cool station, now owned by freaking Clear Channel or whoever's ruining it.
Yeah, well, Clear Channel is responsible for most of the mayhem and most of the destruction.
Yeah. Yeah.
And all these other companies are cookie cutters. They figure if Clear Channel should do it, we should do it.
That's right.
So they do it, and then everybody ends up losing.
Yeah.
Especially the listener.
And less people listen for long periods of time now. You still have about 90% of the public that listen to radio, but it's for a shrinking amount of time.
Right. Well, that's because that's what radio wants. In a weird way, they predicted we only care about the listeners that listen for that 20 minutes a day. So they programmed radio to sound that.
2 minutes a day.
So what they've done is they've alienated their listeners by telling them they should only listen for 20 minutes a day.
So what's going to happen when it comes down to 20 seconds a day?
Well, sadly, it's probably going to.
When I listen, I usually don't even listen at all on the radio.
Yeah.
It's just a bum trip, man. I like internet.
Well, the internet is the now and definitely the future.
Yeah.
And radio is passé.
Well, only
people like
us
you
can
and
understand.
Right. I swear we could probably save radio, at least on a local level. And then when other cities see, wow, that station in San Diego, amazing what they're doing, and suddenly they have 100,000 listeners. You know, what are they doing?
They're just being
I tell you what, we got old friends from high school that never worked in radio, that only worked at the high school station K-Rat, that could probably do a better job than 95% of the people in positions of power.
Right. So it's pretty much, it's not even high school radio. It's like not even junior high school radio.
Right. And that's all I've got to say. And thank you for joining us once again, Alex. It's been a pleasure talking with you this beautiful Sunday afternoon here in San Diego.
Thanks for asking all these compelling questions that the public needs to know about.
Right on, buddy. I agree with you on that. And we'll have to get together again for another interview sometime in the near future. Take care, man, and keep not listening to the radio.